Joining us now, former 22-year veteran of the FBI and private investigator Dennis Franks. Dennis, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
The restaurant is disputing the claims about Kohberger. Is this another case of simple misinformation?
It's hard to say. I mean, I would not be surprised at all that there were some sightings where he was present, where they were present, one or more of the victims present at some time. I would venture to say that that's more than likely the case. In this situation, it's hard to say really if that happened or not.
What was your thought about the items that were taken from the search warrant that we learned about this week?
Yeah, there are telltale signs, usually hair samples or something that you look for in a search. They're certainly being analyzed and compared to his as well as the victims. I think there was even dog hair that was taken. And if he doesn't own a dog, they'll compare it with the dog that was there. I think there's just an accumulation of evidence throughout this case that really makes a strong prosecution.
What is the likelihood you think that they can prove in court that it was Kohberger's DNA found inside of that house? It was a known party house. There was a lot of traffic, presumably a lot of DNA in that house.
Well, they did get the DNA off the knife sheath. And I'm sure that when he was arrested, they had a warrant to take his DNA. And that is being analyzed. If it hasn't already, they should have the results. And if I were a betting person, I would bet that it's a strong chance it will show up as his DNA. It already has, the connection with his father, that the DNA taken off the garbage in the house in Pennsylvania, that linked him with the son as being, 99% chance.
We've also heard in reports that the alleged killer attempted to message one of the victims. What are your thoughts on this?
This type of a killer, if he is guilty of it, or whoever did this, it would not surprise me that they were trying to message or get in touch. Maybe there's some previous communications. I'm sure they're going to go back and look at phone records from months, or if not years prior to this, and determine if that could have been the case. Again, we'll have to wait and see what shows up in court.
And let's talk about the gag order as it stands right now. It is extensive from the judge. And we know there are these 22 news organizations, including the Associated Press. They're banding together. They're asking the judge to narrow the order to reconsider. And they say it's incredibly important that the public understands and has context of our criminal justice system. It's important to be able to cover this. What is your perspective on this? Is a gag order to this extent unprecedented? Is it the right thing for the judge to do?
In my view, it is a very strong gag order that is present in this state. I think it's necessary sometimes if there's a lot of pretrial publicity, if one side or the other, whether it's the government or defense attorney, are trying to score points, trying to influence the public before the trial starts. But I think there's a right for the public and the press to have sufficient information that is what's going on at the time. So this one is, I think, very stringent. We'll see if they loosen up some.
Dennis Franks, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.